Welcome to the Big Picture app. I'm Ryan McLean, company founder. The Big Picture app sheds light on mountains of historical investment data. And while it's easy to use, people are curious how exactly it works and what exactly it's telling us. Simply put, the software allows you to build the retirement portfolios of your choice and backtest them over hundreds of rolling historical periods. In the click of a button, you can illustrate for clients the success rates, safe withdrawal rates, and portfolio longevities associated with various asset allocation strategies. In other words, the app helps you to answer the retiree's eternal question: how much can I spend in retirement? Here's how it works. You open the portfolio control here and create whatever portfolios you would like to stress test or illustrate for your client. You can choose from a menu of 11 major asset classes with whatever allocation you like for each. You might create 3 or 4 model portfolios that you would typically recommend for different types of retirees. You can name them however you want. And save them in the app for later use. Or, if you're meeting with a prospect, you can mimic their current strategy on the fly. Let's do that. Here's a prospect that currently has a 25% equity allocation and a 75% fixed income allocation. I'm going to name this portfolio prospect. Now, these are monthly frequency total return indexes that start in 1926. I'll get to why that's important in just a minute. So once that's done, we've created a bunch of model portfolios. We go back to the main page and you can see the portfolios we created are listed here. Right now, the diversified portfolio is selected. Now, the app is taking the diversified portfolio and backtesting it over every single rolling 30-year period that has ever been experienced in the market, starting in 1926. Since we have monthly frequency historical return data, there have been about 750 rolling 30-year periods since that time. Now, I say 30 years because that's the retirement horizon we've chosen to look at, but it could be any length. The app is telling us that had we invested $1 million in the diversified portfolio and withdrawn from it at a 4% withdrawal rate, it would have remained solvent in 82% of all historical 30-year retirement periods. In other words, it would have run out of money before the 30 years were up in 18% of past retirements, and would not have run out of money in 82%. It's important to note that the dollar amount that we pull from the portfolio, the withdrawal, is based on 4%, or whatever percent you select for withdrawal rate, of the initial portfolio value. In this case, the initial portfolio value is $1 million. So we take 4% of that, which is $3,333 per month, and then adjust this amount in each back-tested period at whatever the actual rate of inflation was. This is the amount pulled from the portfolio, regardless of any fluctuations in its market value. So in retirement, we're simulating a stream of constant dollars in purchasing power terms. Of course, a lot of retirees are not interested in just remaining solvent, but in leaving behind some legacy value. So if I input a legacy capital value that is higher than 0, say $500,000, the success rate changes. The reason is that now we are defining success as ending a given retirement with at least $500,000 in capital left in the portfolio. Since the bar has been raised, the success rate has gone down. From here, you can toggle inputs and explore various trade-offs associated with different rates of spending and asset allocations. You can also go here and select a different expense ratio or a different rebalancing frequency and see how that historically impacted a portfolio's success rate. Let's look at the prospect portfolio versus the advisor portfolio. 22% success rate for the prospect portfolio versus 95% for the advisor portfolio. This was a portfolio I created with relatively significant equity exposure and more diversification than the prospect portfolio. That's a pretty dramatic difference. I'm going to bring the legacy capital value back to $0. Now, there are several charts for additional perspective. This one shows us the success rate for the selected portfolio over rolling historical 30-year periods, which again is the duration of retirement we've selected, but it also shows the success rates for retirements that lasted fewer or more years. You can see the slope of the curve. Even if the retirement were to last longer than anticipated, say 40 years, the advisor portfolio still kept up a reasonably acceptable success rate, close to 90%. Again, let's compare it to the prospect portfolio. You can see that with longer retirements, the prospect portfolio succeeded very infrequently. There are several charts in the app that lay out history in different ways. This one illustrates the maximum safe withdrawal rate of the selected portfolio, rolling period by rolling period. The x-axis shows a chronology over time. These are retirement start dates. The y-axis is the safe withdrawal rate for the 30-year period starting at the dates below. So we can see how consistently and at what withdrawal rates did a given portfolio support spending without falling short of the specified amount of legacy capital. Someone who retired here in the early 80s, invested in the diversified portfolio, experienced unusually favorable market conditions in the ensuing years. So the safe withdrawal rate for these retirees was really high. But someone who retired, say, in the 60s, retired into a much less favorable market environment and could only safely withdraw around 4%. Here's a chart that illustrates portfolio longevity instead of safe withdrawal rates. In other words, how many years did the portfolio last, rolling period by rolling period? Again, on the x-axis, we have retirement start dates. There are two other features to the app. The first is a saving modality for pre-retirees. In this modality, rather than drawing down a portfolio, we are contributing to it. So now the app is computing the proportion of historical occasions that a given portfolio reached or exceeded a certain savings target, provided monthly contributions of whatever amount you'd like to illustrate. This modality helps pre-retirees or savers in general to assess the likelihood of reaching their goal for accumulating capital at different savings rates and using different asset allocation strategies. The other feature is called Key Principles. This is a library of PDFs that illustrate time-tested investment principles. They're updated every year and serve as conversation starters with clients. You can download them, print them, or email them. By communicating more effectively about the concepts of asset allocation, safe spending, sequence of returns, and other key concepts, you'll inspire trust and connect better with your clients. With all that said, let me circle back to the withdrawal program and address a question that advisors often ask. Namely, How is this program different from a Monte Carlo simulation, which is what other planning tools use? Well, a Monte Carlo requires you to make assumptions about the future returns, volatilities, and correlations of the asset classes contained in your portfolio. It then uses these assumptions to randomly generate hypothetical portfolio trajectories, and from there, a quote, probability of success. With Monte Carlo, if your assumptions are sound, the outputs will be too. And of course, the inverse also holds. If your assumptions are not sound, so too will be Monte Carlo's outputs. In contrast, the Big Picture app does not make predictions. It only shows how one strategy would have fared in all of the real-life retirement periods that have been experienced to date. Did a given retirement strategy survive history's worst sequences of returns? If so, it may well survive whatever misfortune arises between now and the end of retirement. Or did it produce a shortfall, even in the stock market booms of the 80s and 90s? If so, it may fall short in the years ahead too. While this video just scratches the surface of the Big Picture's reach, I hope it gives you a sense for the app and how it can help your financial advisory business. We hope you'll sign up now for a free trial.